Hante pushed his mop across the shiny floor of the physics lab. It was late, almost 10 p.m., and most people had gone home. Han liked the quiet of the empty hallways. As a janitor at Seoul National University, he preferred the night shift. Fewer people meant fewer questions, and Han didn't like questions about his past. The small TV in the corner suddenly changed from a boring news show to an emergency broadcast. Han glanced up but kept mopping. "We interrupt this program for breaking news," said the scared-looking reporter. "Strange objects have appeared in Earth's skies. Military forces worldwide report these objects are not from Earth." Han stopped mopping. He wiped his hands on his gray uniform and turned up the volume. The TV showed blurry videos of massive dark ships hanging over major cities. They were shaped like arrowheads, and bigger than any building Han had ever seen. "The objects appeared with no warning," the reporter continued, her voice shaking. "All attempts to contact them have failed." Han's face remained calm, while other staff members who were still in the building began to panic, running into the hallway and shouting. Han simply watched. His eyes, however, told a different story. They were sharp, focused, taking in every detail. The TV screen suddenly went black. Then a new image appeared, a creature that looked almost like a tall human, but with gray-blue skin and eyes too large for its face. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect Korean, "I am General Dorn of the Kalthori Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Resistance is pointless. Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Your technology is primitive. To prove our power, we will disable all your electronic devices for 1 hour. When they return, be prepared to discuss terms of your surrender." The TV went dead. Outside, car alarms stopped mid-wail. The lights in the building flickered and died. Everything electronic stopped working at once. In the darkness, Han calmly reached into his pocket and pulled out a small flashlight that still worked. Interesting, he thought. Not a complete electromagnetic pulse. Selective targeting. "We're all going to die," someone shouted from the hallway. Han ignored the panic. He continued cleaning by the light of his flashlight as if alien ships weren't hovering above the planet. An hour later, exactly as promised, the power returned. The TV came back on, showing scenes of panic from around the world. People were running. In the streets, some were praying, others were looting stores. World leaders were meeting in emergency sessions. "Han, are you seeing this?" Professor Kim Ji burst into the lab, her lab coat wrinkled and her short hair messy. She was the youngest physics professor at the university, and the only person who ever talked to Han like a friend, not just a janitor. "Yes, Professor Kim. I see it," Han said quietly. "This is insane. Actual aliens." She ran to her computer and began typing frantically. "I've been studying theoretical shield technology for years. If their ships have energy shields, they must operate on principles we can understand." Han nodded and continued mopping, but he moved closer to see her screen. "There must be a weakness," she muttered. "Every system has a weakness." The TV announced that the aliens had made another demand. Earth must send representatives for surrender talks. They would collect these representatives from major institutions around the world. Professor Kim barely noticed when the building shook. Slightly. Han did. He looked out the window and saw a smaller alien ship landing in the university's main courtyard. "Professor," Han said calmly, "they're here." Kim looked up from her computer in panic. "Here? Now?" She quickly saved her work to a small drive and tried to close her files, but her hands were shaking too much. Han heard heavy footsteps in the hallway. They didn't sound human. The door to the lab burst open. 3 tall aliens in what looked like armor stood in the doorway. They had weapons that reminded Han of rifles but more advanced. "This area contains scientific data," one alien said in mechanical-sounding Korean. "All research is now property of the Kalthori Empire." Professor Kim stood protectively in front of her computer. "This is my personal research. It has nothing to do with—" The alien raised its weapon. "Move aside, human." Han stepped forward, placing himself between Professor Kim and the aliens. The alien guards seemed surprised by this action. "I am just the cleaner," Han said with a small bow, his voice humble. "I can show you around if you like." Professor Kim studies stars, not weapons. The lead alien studied Han with its large eyes. You show no fear, it said, sounding confused. Han smiled. Should I be afraid? You are guests here, even if uninvited ones. The alien made a sound like a laugh. Primitive human, you don't understand. Your situation. It pushed Han aside and grabbed Professor Kim's arm. She cried out in pain. Han's expression changed for just a second. Something cold and dangerous flashed in his eyes, but he quickly returned to his humble smile. Take your hands off her, he said, still smiling but with a voice that had suddenly become hard as steel. The alien turned, surprised by the change in tone. You dare give orders to... In one smooth motion, Han swung his mop, hitting the alien's hand. The alien dropped its grip on Professor Kim. The other two aliens raised their weapons, but Han had already stepped back, hands raised in apparent surrender. A misunderstanding, Han said, his voice back to being humble. In our culture, it is rude to grab a respected teacher. Please forgive me. The lead alien stared at Han for a long moment. Then it touched something on its wrist. General, we have found an interesting human. He shows unusual behavior. A hologram appeared from the alien's wrist device. It showed the alien that had been on TV, General Dorn. Explain, the general said. This human does not react as expected. He shows no fear and has quick reflexes. The hologram of General Dorn leaned forward, examining Han through the projection. What is your function, human? I clean the floors, Han said simply. General Dorn made a sound like a snort. Bring him to me. I want to study this fearless floor cleaner. Perhaps he will make an interesting addition to our collection. Yes, General. The alien turned off the hologram and pointed at Han. You will come with us. Han nodded calmly. May I bring my things? The alien looked confused but nodded. Han picked up his keyring from his janitor cart. As he did, he caught Professor Kim's eye. She was frightened, but understanding passed between them. I saved it all, she whispered as Han walked past her. I'll keep working. Don't worry. Han gave the smallest nod as the aliens led him away. As they walked through the panicked university, people stared at the janitor being escorted by alien soldiers. Nobody would have guessed that the quiet man, who mopped their floors, had once been the deadliest special forces soldier in Korea's military. And that was exactly how Han had wanted it, until today. The small alien ship waited in the courtyard. As Han was led up the ramp, he looked back at the university one last time. Then his face became a mask of calm determination. General Dorn had just made the worst mistake of his life. He had picked the wrong human. Hante sat quietly in the alien shuttle as it rose into the sky. Through a small window, he watched Seoul get smaller and smaller. Soon they were in space, and Earth looked like a blue marble below them. The shuttle approached the largest ship Han had ever seen. It was as big as a city, dark and pointed with glowing blue lights along its sides. This was the Kalthori mothership. Impressive, isn't it? Asked a woman sitting across from Han. He looked at her. She wore a neat suit and looked nervous despite her attempt to sound calm. I'm Park Sun, she said. United Nations diplomat. They grabbed me from our office in Seoul. You? Han Tai, university janitor. Park Sun looked confused. A janitor? Why would they take you? Han shrugged. Wrong place, wrong time. The shuttle docked inside a massive bay filled with other ships. When the doors opened, Han saw many aliens moving around, all busy with different tasks. Some looked like General Dorn, while others were clearly from different species. Proof that Earth wasn't the Kalthori's first conquest. Armed guards led Han, Park Sun, and about 20 other humans through long hallways. Everything was made of dark metal with blue lights. The air smelled clean but strange. They arrived at a large door that slid open to reveal a room with a long table. At the head sat General Dorn. He was taller than the other aliens and wore armor with more decorations. His large eyes fixed on the humans as they entered. Sit, he commanded. The humans sat at the table. Han noticed some were shaking with fear. Others looked angry. Park Sun kept her diplomat face on, trying to show no emotion. "You are here to discuss Earth's surrender," General Dorn said. "The terms are simple. Your planet and all its resources now belong to the Kalthori Empire. Your people will serve us. Those who cooperate will live. Those who resist will not." Park Sun stood up. "General, surely we can reach a more equitable arrangement. Earth has much to offer as a partner rather than a—" "Silence," Dorn said. His voice wasn't loud, but Park Sun stopped talking immediately. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. It is an explanation of what will happen." He pressed something on the table, and a hologram appeared showing Kalthori ships landing in cities around Earth. "My forces are already taking control of your major cities. Your militaries have tried to fight back. They have failed. 17 other species before you have also failed." Han watched carefully, noting how the system worked, how many guards were in the room, how General Dorn's armor was put together. "You," Dorn suddenly said, pointing at Han. "The floor cleaner. You still show no fear." "Why?" All eyes turned to Han. He smiled slightly. "Fear doesn't help in this situation," he said simply. Dorn made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Interesting. Most species panic when we arrive. Even the bravest warriors show some reaction. Yet you, a simple worker, seem unbothered. Just practical," Han said. General Dorn stared at Han for a long moment. "Everyone will be assigned quarters. Tomorrow you will sign the formal surrender documents. Dismissed." Guards led them to small rooms that looked like hotel rooms, but with strange beds and no windows. Han's door closed with a hiss and locked automatically. Han waited for exactly 10 minutes, then began to explore his room. He checked for cameras and found 3. He examined the air vent, the bathroom, and every part of the walls and floor. He wasn't looking for a way out. Not yet. He was learning. A panel in the wall slid open, and a tray of food appeared. It held strange-looking things, but they smelled like food. Han ate carefully, tasting small bits of everything. It wasn't bad, just different. Later, the door opened, and a small alien with 4 arms entered. This one wasn't Kalthori. It was shorter, with orange skin and no hair. "Clean towels," it said in broken Korean as it put fresh towels in the bathroom. "Thank you," Han said kindly. "What's your name?" The alien looked surprised. "Meek. I am Meek." "Nice to meet you, Meek. I'm Han. What species are you?" "Giovanni," Meek said nervously. "Conquered 30 years ago. Do you like working for the Kalthori?" Han asked casually. Meek looked frightened and didn't answer. "It's okay," Han said. "Just making conversation." Meek relaxed a little. "You are different from other new ones, not crying, not angry. Just trying to understand the situation," Han said. "For example, how big is this ship? How many people work here?" Meek hesitated. "Very big. Many thousands." He moved closer and whispered, "Some say there are ways to move around without guards knowing. Old service tunnels. But I know nothing of this." Han nodded. "Of course not. That would be dangerous information." Mick hurried out, and the door locked again. Han lay on the strange bed, staring at the ceiling with a small smile. Information was the first step of any mission. The next day, guards took Han and the other humans back to the meeting room. Park Sun tried to talk to Han, but guards kept them apart. General Dorn wasn't there, but his second-in-command was. The cow alien introduced himself as Lieutenant Krell. "Before signing the surrender documents, you will all be scanned and tested," Krell said. "General Dorn wants to understand human capabilities better." The humans were taken to different rooms. In Han's room, aliens attached sensors to his head and body. "Physical test first," one alien tech said. "Run on this machine until you cannot continue." Han ran on something like a treadmill. He kept a steady pace, not too fast, not too slow. After an hour, the aliens looked impressed, but Han knew he could go much longer. He pretended to get tired and stopped. Next came puzzles and math problems. Han solved them at a good rate, but deliberately got some wrong. He had to appear intelligent, but not exceptional. After the tests, Han was being led. back to his room when he saw another human in a maintenance uniform working on a wall panel. Their eyes met briefly. The other man was young with a name tag that said Lee. Back in his room, Han found a small piece of paper under his food tray. It had a message written in Korean. Not alone. Others resist. Tap 3 times on bathroom. Wall if interested. Han ate his food first. Then he went to the bathroom, turned on the water, and tapped 3 times on the wall. A hidden panel slid open just enough for a small device to be passed through. It looked like a simple metal pin. Han took it and put it in his collar. The panel closed without a sound. That evening, General Dorn requested Han's presence for dinner. Guards took Han to a luxurious room, where Dorn sat alone at a table with strange foods. Sit, Dorn said. I want to understand you better. Han sat down. I'm just a janitor, not much to understand. Our background check on you shows a boring life. School, military service, then janitorial work. Yet you are not like the others. Why? Han shrugged. Maybe your invasion is not the scariest thing I've faced. Dorn leaned forward. What were you cleaning in that physics lab so late at night? Floors, tables, trash cans. And the woman? The professor? What was she working on? Han knew they were trying to find Professor Kim's research. Stars, I think. She talks about stars a lot. Dorn didn't look convinced. During dinner, Han noticed a service panel near the door. When Dorn looked away to speak to a guard, Han slipped his fork into his sleeve. After dinner, as they walked back, Han pretended to stumble near the panel. While catching himself, he quickly used the fork to loosen the panel's edge. That night, Han waited until the ship's lights dimmed for night cycle. He used the fork to open the panel he had loosened. Behind it was a small computer terminal. Han took the pin from his collar and plugged it into the terminal. The pin lit up green. Access granted. Now he could see the ship's layout. The power core was at the center, heavily guarded. But there were indeed service tunnels throughout the ship, just as Mick had hinted. Han heard footsteps outside. Quickly he closed the panel and hid the fork. The door slid open and Lieutenant Krell stood there with 2 guards. The general finds your background suspicious, Krell said. You will come for more questioning. Han nodded and stood up calmly. Of course. As they led him away, Han mentally mapped their route against what he had just seen on the ship's plans. The quiet janitor was building a mental map of the entire mothership. And soon, General Dorn would learn why that was very, very dangerous. Lieutenant Krell and his guards led Han through dark hallways. Instead of going to an interrogation room, they took him deep into the lower levels of the ship. These areas looked older, with pipes showing and dim lighting. Han kept track of every turn, left, right, left. He counted the steps between doors, old habits from his military days. They stopped at a heavy door. Krell put his hand on a scanner. The door opened to reveal a large room filled with equipment Han didn't recognize. 3 guards stood inside with weapons pointed at Han. Our scans show you accessed a computer terminal without permission, Krell said. Explain. Han shrugged. I was curious. Krell hit Han hard across the face. You will tell us what you were looking for and who gave you access tools. Han tasted blood but kept his face calm. I told you. I was curious about the ship. Krell raised his hand to hit Han. Again when alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the hallway. Security breach in Section 7, a voice announced over speakers. All the guards looked up in surprise. Han moved fast. He grabbed Krell's arm, twisted it behind his back, and used the alien as a shield. He took Krell's weapon and fired at the ceiling lights. The room went dark except for the red emergency lights. In the chaos, Han slipped away through the door. Instead of going back the way they came, he ran deeper into the maintenance areas. He could hear guards shouting behind him. Han found a small service hatch like the ones he had seen on the ship's plans. He squeezed inside just as guards ran past. The tunnel was narrow and dusty. It clearly hadn't been used in a long time. Han crawled through the tunnel until he reached a junction. He heard soft voices ahead. When he turned the corner, he found himself facing the barrels of several makeshift weapons. Stop right there, said a human voice. Han raised his hand slowly. I'm not your enemy. A light shined in his face. Behind it stood a tall man in what once had been a military uniform, now dirty and torn. You're the janitor everyone's talking about, the man said, lowering his weapon. I'm Captain Nam. Nam led Han into a larger area where the service tunnels opened up into an abandoned storage room. About 20 beings were there, some human, some aliens of different species. Welcome to the Resistance, Nam said. Sorry about the distraction we caused. We needed to get you away from Krell. You set off the alarms for me, Han asked. A young man stepped forward, the same maintenance worker Han had seen earlier. I'm Lee. I planted the pin in your room. We've been watching you since you arrived. Why me? Han asked. Because you're not what you seem, said Nam. Neither are we. Nam explained that a small resistance had been forming since the Kalthori arrived. Some were captured humans, others were aliens from worlds the Kalthori had conquered years before. Earth's military tried to fight back, Nam said. They failed. The Kalthori have better weapons, better shields, but we think they have a weakness. Small alien with tentacles instead of arms approached. I am Rex, it said in broken Korean. Weapons master from Gantic's system. Kalthori took my world 30 years ago, fighting ever since. Rex led Han to a table covered with alien tech parts. Kalthori shield strong but not perfect, need right frequency to disrupt. Professor Kim was working on shield frequencies, Han said. Before I was taken, Nam and Rex exchanged excited looks. Can you contact her? Han thought for a moment. Maybe. But I need to speak with another human first. Jin-Ho. The engineer? She's helping us too, said Lee. She's on level 4 working on their weapon systems. Nam looked worried. Getting you to level 4 will be dangerous. The whole ship is looking for you now. I need to see their weapons, Han said firmly, and I need to talk to Jin-Ho. Nam nodded. We'll get you there. But first, tell us who you really are. No janitor moves the way you do or stays so calm during an alien invasion. Han was quiet for a moment. Then he sighed. I was part of a special forces unit. We trained for unusual threats. Like aliens? Lee asked with wide eyes. Like anything Earth wasn't prepared for, Han replied. After a mission went wrong, I left and took a quiet job. I wanted to be invisible. Nam laughed. Well, you're the most visible human on this ship now. General Dorn is obsessed with figuring you out. Good, Han said. Let him be distracted by me while we work on a real plan. The next day, disguised as a maintenance worker, Han was smuggled to level 4. Jin-Ho was waiting in a small room filled with alien weapon parts. Jin-Ho was younger than Han expected, with short hair and clever eyes. So you're the famous janitor, she said. I've been studying their weapons. They're advanced but not magic. She showed Han the inner workings of a Kalthori rifle. Their power source is incredible, more energy than anything we have on Earth. Can it be overloaded? Han asked. Jin-Ho smiled. I like how you think. Yes, probably. But we need to know more about their central power core. Han told her about Professor Kim's research. She thought their shields might have a weakness, a specific frequency. Jin-Ho's eyes lit up. If we could disrupt their shields even for a few seconds. Their planning was interrupted when the door burst open. Park Sun stood there looking shocked to see Han. You, she said. Everyone thinks you're dead or captured. Krell has been questioning all the humans about you. Han pulled her inside and closed the door. What are you doing here? I was brought to inspect their weapons development, she said. They think I'm cooperating, but I've been memorizing everything I see. Park Sun's eyes narrowed. You're not really a janitor, are you? Does it matter? Han asked. Yes. We're facing extinction here. If you know something that can help, you need to share it. Han nodded. You're right, but we need to be careful. The more people who know, the more dangerous it becomes. He explained about the resistance and their plan to find a weakness in the Kalthori defenses. I can help, Park Sun said. General Dorn has invited me to a meeting tomorrow about Earth's surrender ceremony. I can create a distraction. Han was about to respond when a message came through on Jin Ho's communicator. The Resistance had intercepted a Kalthori transmission. Earth's major cities were being attacked right now. They're starting the invasion earlier than planned, Jin Ho said, her voice shaking. Han's face hardened. Then we need to move faster too. That night, Han and a small team from the Resistance moved through the service tunnels toward the ship's central power core. Their plan was simple but dangerous. Plant devices that could disrupt the shields when activated. As they approached the core area, Han held up his hand to stop the team. Something wasn't right. It was too quiet. Too easy. It's a trap, he whispered. From around the corner stepped General Dorn himself, surrounded by guards. Indeed it is, the general said. Did you think we didn't know about these tunnels, about your little resistance? Han stepped forward, shielding the others behind him. Let them go, it's me you want. Dorn laughed. True, you've been a fascinating puzzle. A simple janitor who fights like a warrior, thinks like a strategist. We've been watching you all along. Not well enough, Han said with a slight smile. At that moment, explosions rocked the ship from multiple directions. The Resistance had prepared backup plans. Alarms blared as the ship's systems reported failures in weapons, communications, and life support. In the confusion, Han lunged at General Dorn. They fought fiercely, Dorn's alien strength matching Han's, human speed and skill. As they fought, Han said, "You made one big mistake, General." "What was that?" Dorn growled, blocking Han's attack. "You assumed humans were primitive because our technology is less advanced, but we've been fighting wars against each other for thousands of years. We're very, very good at it." Han struck hard and fast, using techniques Dorn had never seen before. But the alien general was powerful. He caught Han with a blow that sent him crashing into a wall. As Han struggled to his feet, bleeding from several wounds, Dorn approached with a weapon. Drawn. "Any last words, janitor?" he asked. Han smiled through bloody lips. "Just one thing. The signal is sent." Dorn's eyes widened as he realized what Han meant. In the fight, Han had activated a transmitter. The shield frequency data was now being sent to Earth. "Lock down all communications." Dorn shouted to his guards. "Nothing leaves this ship." "Too late," Han said as he collapsed from his injuries. "Earth knows your weakness now." As darkness closed in around him, Han heard the ship's systems announcing failures throughout the vessel. The Resistance had struck a serious blow. His last thought before losing consciousness was of Professor Kim. He hoped she would get his message in time. Han woke up slowly. His whole body hurt. As his eyes opened, he saw he was in a small room with dim blue lights. A strange-looking alien with 4 eyes was putting something cold on his head. "You wake." "Good," the alien said in broken Korean. "I am Min, doctor for Resistance." Han tried to sit up, but pain shot through his chest. "How long was I out?" 2 days, Min said. "General Dorn hurt you badly. Broken ribs, head injury, much blood lost." Han's memories came rushing back. The fight with Dorn, the message sent to Earth, the Resistance attack. "The others?" he asked. "Safe. Captain Nam brought you here after explosion. Very dangerous rescue." The door opened, and Nam walked in. He looked tired but smiled when he saw Han awake. "The famous janitor lives," Nam said. "You're tougher than you look." "What happened after I blacked out?" Han asked. Nam sat down heavily. "Good news and bad news. The Resistance attacks damaged many ship systems. Weapons are at half power. Some shields are down, but Dorn is furious. He's ordered full attack on Earth, no mercy. Landings have started. In all major cities." Han closed his eyes for a moment. "Did my message get through? To Professor Kim?" "We think so," Nam said. "But we can't be sure. Communications with Earth are blocked now." Han tried to stand again. This time, with Min's help, he made it to his feet. "I need to see Jin Ho." They took him to a larger room where Jin Ho was working with several aliens on what looked like a modified version of a Kalthori weapon. Jin-Ho ran to Han when she saw him. "You're alive. We weren't sure you'd make it." "I'm hard to kill," Han said. "What are you working on?" Jin-Ho led him to the table. "Using what we learned about their shield frequency. If your Professor Kim got your message, Earth forces might be able to break through their ship defenses, but we need to help from inside, too." She showed him a small device. "This can disrupt the power core for maybe 5 minutes. Enough time to take control of key systems. Or enough time to send a bigger message to Earth," Han said. "We need to get to the communication center." Park Sun entered the room, now dressed in resistance clothes. "I can help with that. Dorn still thinks I'm a cooperative diplomat. I have access to level 1. Han nodded. "Then we have a chance, but we need one more thing." He turned to Rex, the weapons master. "You said Kalthori have a biological weakness they hide from conquered species. What is it?" Rex came closer. "Truth hidden for many years. Kalthori breathe different air than most species. Their lungs cannot handle high oxygen for long periods. Makes them weak, sick. That's why the air on the ship feels strange," Han realized. "They keep oxygen levels low." "Yes," said Rex. "In battle, they wear special masks. But in ship, they adjust air for comfort." Han looked at Jin-Ho. "Can we change the air composition in certain areas of the ship?" Jin-Ho's eyes widened. "Yes, through the environmental controls, but we'd need access to the central command." "That's where Dorn will be," Nam said grimly. "The most heavily guarded part of the ship." Han was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then, he looked at each of them. "I have a plan, but it's dangerous and I need all of you." Over the next few hours, they prepared. Despite his injuries, Han trained the team in human fighting techniques that the Kalthori had never seen. Jin-Ho prepared the devices they would need. Park Sun memorized the access codes and patrol patterns. As they worked, they received reports from other resistance cells throughout the ship. The Kalthori invasion of Earth was facing unexpected problems. Some of their ships were being damaged by Earth weapons that shouldn't have been effective. "Professor Kim got the message," Han said with a small smile. "She figured out how to use the frequency data." Early the next morning, their plan began. Park Sun walked openly to level 1, telling guards she had information for General Dorn. At the same time, resistance members created distractions on multiple levels of the ship. Han, Nam, Jin-Ho, and Rex moved through service tunnels toward Central Command. Han's body still hurt, but determination pushed him forward. When they reached the access point nearest to Central Command, they waited for Park Sun's signal. It came as a small beep on Jin-Ho's communicator. "She's in," Jin-Ho whispered. "Environmental. Controls are unlocked for 30 seconds. Han nodded to Rex, who quickly connected a device to the air system controls. The oxygen levels in Central Command began to rise slowly. Not enough to trigger alarms, but enough to gradually affect the Kalthori. "Now we wait," Han said. 20 minutes later, Park Sun's voice came through their communicator. "Dorn is showing signs of distress. Many Kalthori are breathing heavily. Some have put on masks. That's our cue," Han said. Their team moved quickly through the access point into a hallway near Central Command. Guards were there, but looking confused and breathing with difficulty. Han and Nam took them down silently. When they reached the Central Command door, Jin-Ho used Park Sun's codes to unlock it. The door slid open to reveal a large room with screens showing the invasion of Earth. General Dorn stood in the center, now wearing a breathing mask. "You," Dorn hissed when he saw Han. "How are you still alive?" "I told you," Han said, moving slowly into the room. "Humans are good at fighting." Dorn lunged at Han, but his movements were slower than before. The higher oxygen was affecting him. Han dodged and struck back with precision, using Dorn's larger size against him. Around them, Nam, Rex, and Jin-Ho engaged the other Kalthori officers. Park Sun worked quickly at a control panel, increasing oxygen levels even more. "Your invasion is failing," Han told Dorn as they fought. "Earth knows how to disrupt your shields now." "Impossible," Dorn growled. "Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships." A large screen showed a Kalthori ship falling from the sky over some city. Earth forces were firing weapons that pulsed with blue energy, matching the frequency Professor Kim had calculated. Dorn roared in anger and attacked again, catching Han with a powerful blow. Han fell back against a console. His ribs screamed in pain and he tasted blood. "You still lose, human," Dorn said, approaching slowly. "Even if you take this ship, our empire has thousands more. We will never stop." Han smiled through bloodied lips. "You still don't understand humans, do you? We were never trying to destroy your ship." He nodded to Jin Ho, who pressed a button on her device. All around them, screens activated. Jin Ho had hacked into the ship's communication system. The signal was being broadcast to every ship in the Kalthori fleet and back to Earth. "We're transmitting everything," Han said. "Your shield frequencies, your oxygen weakness, your ship layouts, everything we've learned, not just to Earth, but to every world you've conquered." Dorn's eyes widened in horror. He lunged for the control panel, but Park Sun had locked him out. "It's done," she said. "The whole galaxy knows your secrets now." On the screens they could see Kalthori ships falling all over Earth as human weapons, now adjusted to the right frequency, tore through their shields. Other screens showed uprisings starting on conquered worlds as the knowledge spread. "Your empire is finished," Han told Dorn. "Not because we destroyed it, but because we shared information." With a roar of rage, Dorn attacked Han one last time. Despite his injuries, Han met the attack with the skill of his special forces training. In a series of precise strikes, he brought the alien general down. As Dorn lay defeated, Han leaned down and said quietly, "Never pick the wrong human." 1 month later, Han was back at Seoul National University, mopping the physics lab floor. Professor Kim walked in and smiled at him. "The hero returns to his mop," she said. "The world knows what you did up there, you know. There are medals waiting for you." Han shrugged. "I prefer the quiet." Outside the window, a ship flew past, one of the new Earth Kalthori hybrid vessels, built with the knowledge gained from the invasion. The Alliance of Formerly Conquered Worlds had offered Earth membership. "Will you stay a janitor forever?" Professor Kim asked. Han looked at his mop, then out at the stars now open to humanity. "For now," he said with a small smile. "But I keep my options open." After all, there were many more stars to visit, and perhaps other aliens who needed to learn not to underestimate humans, especially quiet janitors with mysterious pasts.